Welcome everybody again to another UAC meeting.
You guys are gonna have to talk in your mics. We just got a new system. It's not talking. No, you're gonna have to pull it down.
Okay. So we will start. I don't know if we've got one more coming or not. So I guess first off, I'll just make sure that. So we'll call the meeting to order. What you got, Holly? Okay, appreciate it. So just confirmation, Josh, that everything was confirmation and posting was done? Okay, just making sure, following the line here. So from what I have right now, we have 5 out of the 7. Eileen Wilkinson is not available, and Lloyd Anderson is not available today, or are not here. Otherwise, we have 5, and we have a quorum. So we will go to the public comment period, and remember, for this comment period, it needs to relate to the agenda items as posted for today. I guess so is there anything, okay, and no calls, no emails? Okay. Holly, would you, we're still doing call-ins, right? Yeah, okay. So now we don't think we have any. We've lost the mic, I think. Okay, so if you have any comments, please call 702-589.
She's way over there.
Yeah, I got the green light on. Okay. You still need time, Holly?
Pardon?
Do you need time?
Oh yeah, you're in public comment.
I'm just, okay, I thought you were waving that you wanted me to do something.
I'm sorry, Larry.
Sorry, okay.
Continue. Sure.
Okay, again, the number to call in is 702-589-9629. Okay, I think we've had the open for a little bit, and we've got a short meeting. Well, it's probably standard for some people, but we have a limited time today. We have we have only till 4 o'clock today, so we'll just keep moving on. Joe or anybody else, is there anything in the agenda need to be rearranged to help any personnel or anybody?
I think the agenda is good as it's written.
Okay, thank you. So like I said, just remind people that everybody that we've only got till 4. So some of the items we will try to probably push along and see where we're at. So if we have to sort of cut you short, that's the reason. So I guess we'll go directly to the first item for possible action: election of chairman and vice chairman for the Utility Advisory Committee. So I guess we can start. I'm not sure which is the best way to start it off.
Can we nominate both of them together, chair and vice chair? Okay, well, I nominate Larry as the chair again, and I nominate Eileen as the vice chair.
I'll second that.
Now, any other nominations? And then I guess just to make sure what the email I got from Eileen was, she was willing to do it again, but if anybody wanted to do the vice chair, she was, I think, happy to pass it along. So did anybody want to do the vice chair?
You get that before you don't show up.
I don't, not seeing any then. I guess we'll open the vote. Since we only have 2 candidates, we might as well it's okay just to vote. Well, let's separate them so there's no confusion. So, all in favor of myself, Larry Carr, for chairman, say aye.
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 It passes unanimously. All in favor of Ellen Wilkinson as vice chair, say aye.
Aye.
And that passes unanimously. Okay, so we're on a roll. Thanks for everyone. So we can close agenda item number 1 and go to agenda item number 2 for approval of minutes from the May 4th. Did anybody have any comments on the meeting, on the minutes? Okay, I had basically 2 or 3 comments. One was changing of a number relating to the budget, and 2 was just sort of a rewording to make a statement, clarify a statement. So I will give those changes to Joe and Josh, or unless anybody wants me to read them out. And then if so, we will make a motion to approve the minutes as amended.
Make a motion to approve minutes as amended. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay, so then we'll go to the update on ongoing capital improvement projects and utility fund capital year to date provided by staff. So I think Josh is going to bring up the digital, what's the best term for that? Is that the tab?
It's a dashboard.
Dashboard, okay.
Yes.
So the CIP dashboard.
City website.
Yeah, so this link is also in your packet in the staff report for item number 3. And then moving forward, aligning the staff reports with the committee goals. So this is in alignment with goal number 1, annually review the 5-year CIP.
I think we said 5-year and ongoing, just so it's clear, right?
Yes.
We have updated that goal or make sure it's clear, so, okay.
So let's get that up live.
You waiting on us?
Yeah,
Yep.
perfect. All right.
Okay.
So here's kind of an overall view of all the projects with all of FY22 budget, previously expended, encumbrances, year-to-date expended, and available budget. So we've got the projects organized by division. E is electrical. U is kind of an older electrical. So if we go to kind of for an update on, we'll do feeder 53, San Felipe Mendota, that's E2101. So you could see the budget, what's been encumbered, year-to-date expended. So construction began May 2nd. And this project has been combined with the previous E1902, the feeder 53 project, combined with that. So if we go to see another, we can scroll down to see the Red Mountain distribution line, E2202. So that's got 90% of the poles excavated and set, and over 75% of the conductor has been transferred. We've got an outage planned for tomorrow for a pole placement. And if I'm looking at their latest daily report from June 3rd, 92% pole excavations, 92% pole set. 100% of the cross arms have been replaced. 67% of the pole boxes have been installed.
So they were able to get all their supplies then, or are they still waiting on a few supplies to be able to finish it? Because it looks like this process, you're looking pretty close to being done.
I believe they were able to get their supplies.
While you're up there, Marvis, were they able to, for some of those poles they had to replace up on the side of the mountain in the real difficult locations, or were those all good?
Yeah, we replaced 23 poles, and they brought in a contractor that had special equipment to excavate those holes. So,
Did they have to tight line them in, or how did they get them up there?
the equipment they used,
Really?
yeah, crawled them up and dug the holes and set them.
I'm glad they were doing it. That's not an easy job.
Yeah. Yeah, but to answer the question that was before, most of the material they were able to get, the other stuff we had on hand, and they will replace what we basically loaned to them from our stock on hand. So most of the insulators we gave them, and some mounting brackets and things of that nature. Everything else they already had. They were able to get the wire. They already had the fiber from a previous job that we had ordered. And so, yeah, but everything is on hand for them to complete. Poles and UGMs and pole-mounted fiber boxes are already, all that stuff is already installed. So with most of the cable is installed already to Bootleg Canyon, from the top of the mountain to Bootleg Park, should I say. And then the rest has to be installed over the next few weeks from Bootleg to the Safety First building. So, but outside of that material, they were able to procure most of the material. What they didn't have, we were able to, because we had on hand, and we were able to loan it to them so they could complete the project.
Yeah, the main reason I asked was, since it was the last time we saw it was still waiting on supplies, or supply issues. It was one of the things. So when did they start?
I don't have the exact date. What is this? June.
You go back to my notes real quick.
In mid-April, somewhere around there.
Okay, so
April 4th.
Okay.
April 4th.
April,
Okay.
beginning of April. Yeah.
Okay, I thought we were still on hold, so thanks.
No.
Greg? Okay, I thought you had a comment. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so kind of going down the list, see the sewer projects, a lot of those in the planning phase. We're still working hard to recruit and obtain a utility engineer. So if we're able to do that, we'll be able to cut that person loose with a lot of these projects. If not, we're going to have to continue to outsource a lot of engineering services. And then kind of moving down, so the BC TAP, the BC, let's see, that one was, so we've got a drawings received, and we got a post-construction walk down next week on that job, and that will close that job out. So is there any questions on the dashboard, or any feedback to staff at all?
Any comments from the committee?
Do we have access to this as committee members?
Yes, this is public information. This is in the packet as a link, so everybody has access to this. And you got it pulled up,
I
Howard?
just pulled it up on my, from the link that was in
All right,
our
that's
packet,
good.
so it worked out real well.
That's what we want to see.
Thank you.
So I see that-
I'm just having trouble seeing this with the amount of background light we have on the screen. I'm having a little trouble seeing it, so I was gonna pull it up on my computer and look at it later on.
So Joe, is this, when you tap on each one of these projects, it brings up the budget and
Yes,
things
sir.
across the top, is that, and then that, like, percent completes and stuff, is that?
Yeah, and then what we tried to do to denote, because feedback in the past was, want to see project progression.
Yep.
So we've denoted what phase the project's in, if it's in planning, if it's in design, if it's in construction, that sort of thing, to indicate that there's mobility
Great.
in the project. We've also got the closed projects listed, and then closed for reallocation. So hoping that this is, as it's used, beneficial over time, and something that would really add value. And then to get feedback from the committee, we'll be updating these as we have items to update in the status. So this is an as kind of current status. So if you guys want to check individual kind of status updates, we could do that in the city manager's report, the monthly report, if there's notes in that way. So just kind of know that this is an ongoing current status. And if you guys have any questions, or if anybody has any questions, accept email or calls to answer any on this dashboard. So
I was just looking at this. It looks really good. I was wondering, do you have where you can, when you want to add a comment on a particular status or item that you've inserted to the?
So I'm not sure if that has that feature functionality,
Yeah,
but
the
what
same thing, I don't see anything.
what we would like is, just an email to either Josh or myself, or
Okay.
the Public Works Department or Utilities Department, or even C-Click Fix, any of the methods to communicate with city officials, and that we would get in here and on the back end make any corrections or changes or answer any questions.
It's good.
Is that document we're looking at right now tied to C-Click Fix?
No. So this document is a standalone document, spreadsheet, Excel, CSV
Okay,
file.
one thing which I understand, it's our public information officer's job. When we're having outages in town, I notice it blasts all over the place, but there's never a response back, at least for several hours. And people that are without power are desperate for power, and they would like an answer a little bit faster than what the city public information officer is responding to their questions. And because I'm a frequent member of the Coffee Cup Brain Trust over there in town, I'm constantly getting clobbered when power goes out. So I'm actually, getting a lot of data and information. But the thing is, we have to be selective in how we respond to the citizens, because the attitude of, well, I don't know what happened, but it happened and we're getting to work on it. So that's what came across from somebody. And I was really surprised at that answer. I know Marvis is just buried with stuff right now, but that public information officer has to be monitoring all the different channels that are in Boulder City for data. And then, like on the C-Click Fix, which there's one individual that seems to be, I'll use a conservative term, driving around town looking for problems so he could put it into C-Click Fix. He's a very busy individual. And some of the stuff is not something I feel the city needs to get involved in, but there has to be some kind of filter that can be applied to that. Otherwise, it just goes out as like if somebody's got an axe to grind with somebody else in the community, they just constantly barraging C-Click Fix with problems they're seeing on one individual's property, and I don't think it's right.
Okay, so just to go through your first point on the outage notification, we'll use social media for that. We are investigating other methods. Some other co-ops and neighbors, such as Overton, they use a system called Everbridge, which is an opt-in text message alert system. That's something I was hoping to discuss at a future meeting. And then, in regards to the C-Click Fix, it's want to be open door policy, take open feedback and comments. So we want to encourage folks to, whatever is they see needs to be addressed, we do note those, and whether that's a code enforcement issue, that all gets appropriately filtered and channeled to key personnel, and then we respond accordingly.
Thank you.
So going back to the dashboard here, another key update, W2006 copper service replacement. So that was just approved by council at the meeting Monday, June 13th. Part of that is 92 services for golf course estates, and in conjunction with that project will be a portion of the water meter replacements, which is W2201. That's Water Smart grant funding, so $75,000 match sharing with the Bureau of Reclamation, and then the other half, the matching share, is able to be used by ARPA funding, which is really convenient. So we're getting that kind of double match there. And then beyond that, there's not much more to update on the ongoing. So if there's any specific questions, I would be happy to entertain those, or we can move on to the next item. So
I guess just making sure I'm probably mixing years for current and future but the so is the estate, the golf course estate, is that because that's started, is that correct?
Okay, the golf course estate is a separate project. That's not in our copper service replacement project. And what we did is we actually took it to council on Monday and had it moved from 23 to 22 so that we could start the project or sign the contract. So you will see, because it just got put in, so when you see the June city manager report, you'll see, want to say it's W2303, but don't quote me. And you'll see that as a separate project. And it'll say golf course estate. So we did. We moved it from 23 to 22 so that we could go ahead and sign the contract so they could get all the supplies ordered and everything, even though we probably won't pay anything in 22.
Okay, so what you've got is three aspects, if I understand correctly. You have a copper aspect that's part of that. They're using part of the, are they using part of the copper funds? Okay, they're not.
No, it's
Then-
550 that was approved separately.
Okay, then what about the meters? Is the meters part of the grant program then, or is the meters separate?
No, the meters is part of the grant program, so.
Okay. And I think I asked last time, I was just sorry to keep doing so, but there's still, that will use 92, I think it was, it states up in one of the places it showed 92 meters, and we have, is it 300 and some odd, is that what the grant has?
Right, so I think, we spent 75% of the total funds available for what was in the grant, so it wasn't all the exact same size meter. So that's,
Okay, so I
But it's
think,
for-
yeah, so we won't have the 300 then, it'll be a lot less if you've got 75% already spent.
right.
But will we still have any chance to use commercial for any
Yes.
for testing and see what data we're collecting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Guess that clarifies that part. If we can go back then, I guess, I'm just trying to clarify on the, because I hadn't looked at the updated one. Last time I looked at, we had the one for the 4K KV. It was saying that it was to be approved, so I don't know if that got updated to be approved at the May 10th meeting, I believe it was. So there was a new contract for that,
Yes. Yep. So that's been updated.
and so that was approved?
Yeah, that was a maintenance services contract that was approved by council on May 10th.
So is the 4K sort of combined with a maintenance agreement?
That's how we're accomplishing the work, and that's so the account description is a little bit confusing, but this 4 kV overhead line insulator T, that account description is for the 4 kV to 12.47 kV cutover project. So the pieces and work involved with cutting over the city to the higher voltage is basically what that project is.
But also, I believe the pole replacement program got rolled into that too, I thought, that we understood.
Yeah, I think if we go back to all, you could see the closed projects, the pole replacement did get rolled into that.
Oh, I see it. Where's that at? Where's the information? It's just on the notes there?
If you scroll down, you'll see pole replacement program E2105.
Okay, so now, go ahead, Marvin, if you had any, just to make sure I'm understanding everything.
Yeah, the pole replacement was initially a separate project. However, being that PAR was already doing the work and changing the majority of the poles out, because the majority of the poles are on the 4 kV system. So as they were upgrading the insulators, arms, if it was a pole that came across, we had them go ahead and replace the pole. So we took the pole replacement money, bought enough poles for it, and then folded the rest into where Carol can tell where that went. But that's how that got combined in that area, because they were already doing the work.
Okay, and maybe I don't mean to interfere, but I'm trying, so yeah, I guess it'd be nice to get an account somewhere where we're at with the poll, what polls are being done, and at one point, it's on a quarterly, half-year basis or something, to say, hey, we're partway through the poll. So it's combined, and with this project, there wouldn't be anything coming back to us to say, we're done with the polls or almost done with it. So an update on that would be nice. So again, I'm not trying to interfere with the work, just some of the feedback would be good for us.
And if I had to do an estimate right now, that's between 60 to 65% of the poles have been upgraded and or replaced.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I know you were doing the priorities for the ones that were extremely
Correct.
on the extreme side.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a note on the bottom of the last city manager's report, anything that was closed out is still sitting on the bottom of that. So it'll tell you right where the money from the polls went into.
Right.
It's on the bottom of that report.
Okay, I appreciate it. I appreciate you keeping that. It's helpful. I appreciate that. I guess the last one for me then is just you said we combined the San Flippy project, and so is there a time frame on that? Just out of curiosity, is that going pretty well? Is it going to take a little bit, or?
They got just a little bit behind schedule, but they believe they're going to be able to catch up. So, I mean, that project is going well. I think it's a 270-day construction period. Construction began May 2nd. We are having weekly updates on that, bi-weekly updates in person, project reviews. So great team working on that, and it seems to be going really well.
Okay, cool. Yeah, the only thing I guess I did, unless I'm missing something, maybe when I scroll back and forth in that status report, I might be missing something. But in the spreadsheet, we did have, if it was when it started and when it was, if it was contract or not. So we had sort of a day on it or something, how many days it was. Well, there's the contract, but whether we said if it was a 270-day or something like that, and I don't think we have that anymore. So it gave us sort of a time frame what to expect in the one spreadsheet that when we first created this setup.
We can look at a schedule if that's something to add. Again, I know feedback I've gotten is not to make the status too. You have that sidebar go too far too, so it's like how much we could fit on one screen. You get the whole picture is one thing. We could certainly look at adding a schedule column.
Well, what's the rest of the committee? If it's just me, then I'll take it back. But I think it was something we had originally asked for, something we had. Then when this was created, it got dropped.
So I think the idea was if you click on the status, it shows what phase of it is. So we got planning, design. So based on the construction, if it's in the construction phase, that's going to be dictated by the contract itself, and you're going to have various lengths depending on the size of the contract. So I was kind of hoping to get a little bit of schedule with what phase we were in the project, but if the committee is interested in detailed schedule dates or kind of some Gantt chart type items, we can look at adding that in, and we're open to feedback.
I think the project phase, and if you could do like this slash construction like you did, and then if you could say % construction completed or % planning or % whatever.
So we've got the construction completed in, that's if you look underneath the status bar,
Right.
And that's kind of like the feedback. So that's the actual boots on the ground work that's being done. Mm-hmm. Okay, so we want to make sure we have that. We didn't want to get too confusing or too busy with % completed of other phases. So just know that planning is going to come. And you may have a project that doesn't even have planning, or just kind of gets right in design. The planning is already done. You might have a project that is so large it has pre-planning. So you'd have a pre-planning phase. You go pre-planning, planning, design, procurement, construction, and then it's in the construction phase. But we can add more information to this. Just the feedback we've gotten in the past was it's already busy enough. So we're open to feedback.
Let's just use what we have, and we can improve as we learn how to use this.
I didn't understand that because I keep on forgetting that, or I guess I'm still trying to learn my way around it. And so I guess highlighting it, then you see the percentage of that project.
Right.
So, and I didn't quite catch that.
Exactly.
So
learn how to use it.
yeah, it's just I've been using digital stuff for ages, but I'm still used to paper, so this throws me off a little bit. So part of it, that's what I'm trying. What's feasible and what's not. Okay, anything else? Just then one clarification. So I'm trying to make sure I understand. This is what you prefer to use for the ongoing, just this document.
Yeah, this is front facing. It's the link is there. We have the ability to update it. Kudos really go out to Mr. Hardy on putting this together in a way that's beyond what we had presented before in the spreadsheet and the CIP. So I think using this in conjunction with the city manager's report will really be valuable to the committee.
So then you'll be putting this link in the package. But the CIP, then the city manager's report will be on our own to collect. Is that to get?
Right. We can have that as backup material in a future meeting for certainly if that's something.
I think it's helpful because it's just you can follow it and then you have both data. So, but I guess the question is, we had talked about doing things every other month or possibly, so I think I'd even mentioned something to you, Joe, about maybe doing it quarterly. So we could do this, if this was feasible, we would do this every month and just we've spent a little more time on it than we anticipated, but we'd spend 5-10 minutes saying, okay, these are just the major things. And then maybe on a quarterly report, then we sort of, or even half year mark, we sort of just go down through the items really quick, a little more detailed. Is that something that the committee would want, or am I?
I guess it'd be nice. I don't know how much extra work it'll take, but
Well, that's what I'm asking for. If it's quarterly or yearly, bi-yearly, then it wouldn't be asking as much.
I mean, I think for like a pretty quick snapshot update, this is not a problem. We're getting in there and we're updating status continuously. So to kind of have this as a quick check-in as needed. If there's nothing to report, then I'm certainly not going to put something in there. But there's typical movement in all the projects, so we could do if it's at the committee's desire, if they want a quick update, or you can go in on your own. If there's questions we could discuss, we could certainly spend a few minutes doing an update.
Go ahead if you have any questions.
Yeah, I think what we're talking about is good to keep it in percentages, because if there's no movement in percentages, we know there's been slippage on the project. And that'll have to be reflected as to either a report like lack of material, backordered material, or stuff like that. So that's the way we used to track years ago, but it was in percentages, and sometimes it's incremental in advancement, and other times it's rapid in advancement. So I think that would be good rather than trying to tie it to the days. But if you don't see any movement on the percentages of completion on the different tasks, then there's something going on, and it'll pop up real quick.
Okay, so you saw, Greg, that I guess you have to highlight each
Yeah.
one, and then it says the percentage
Yeah,
below.
it's a very quick tutorial.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I've been absent for a couple because of problems that I couldn't handle and foresee.
Oh,
So
we
yeah.
understand
Yeah.
what's
So,
going on. I'm
yeah,
just trying to
I-
make sure I understand it myself, so I just.
yeah,
make sure
it's
clear.
basically like a drop-down menu. So if you highlight it, it drops down and gives you more information on what you've
Yeah, and
highlighted.
then, the whole spreadsheet, the whole thing changes for that one item.
Right, and the dynamics and everything, it's like a living document.
And I keep on forgetting all the different ones that are connected. so appreciate it. Okay. Okay, but I just want to make sure it was clear too that would be as a link on the packages. So just for everybody to check for the link, because we won't see anything necessarily related to it except for the link on the going forward. Okay, anything else related to the ongoing capital? Okay, so we will close that item out and go to item number 4. So I guess, Josh, you want to start us off on that? Joe, sorry.
Oh, yeah, no problem. So item 4, and this is in line with goal 3 and goal 4 of the committee's goals, review of conservation plans and programs, and review of resource plans. So what we've got here is in your packet, it's the existing integrated resource plan from 2018 to 2022. So we're in the process of updating this plan. It's due to Western at the end of this calendar year. And so we have this for the committee's review. We've gotten some feedback that the previous IRP from the 5 years before, which we have access to, had a little bit more information. It might be what the committee desires. So just to kind of give you guys a real quick snapshot of what's changed, we've got the townsite solar PPA. That's firm power, 5 megawatts, various times of the year. There's a couple months, April, March, where we're not receiving that. And then in November, it's either off-peak or on-peak that we don't receive that. And then we've got the rooftop solar integration of that resource, which, is close to about 2 megawatts now. So that will be inputted into the IRP. We do have an ad hoc committee formed with the Hoover C meeting contractors to discuss potential possibilities of hydroelectric resources declining in their capacity But overall, at this time, in the next 5 years, we're looking like we're with Hoover and our Salt Lake City resources, that we're not declaring that we're not losing capacity there in those power purchase agreements. So I would love to entertain any questions here before we get on to water, kind of discuss that. But if there's any feedback or any questions on the existing IRP.
I guess I had one question. Was we had a letter of intent with SNWA for, I believe, is a possibility of 3 megawatts of solar that they were interconnecting with, and I guess, is there a way that we can, is that still on the table?
Absolutely. Yep, that's still on the table. That's contingent on the lease and easement of their switchyard. And so at this point, we got to look at our resources and see if that's needed. But it might not be needed at this time, but it might be needed in the future. So it's still on the table, and staff's working to set that up to make sure that the city has the ability to get into an additional PPA for those resources if needed.
Just as a possibility, it might, if we could use it as an on-peak resource, it would probably be available. If we have to take it all year long, then it could be problematic.
So that's how we would have to do it, and that's unfortunate, but that's how these agreements are structured, because typically that's going to guarantee how much, power is. That's how their financing works and how they fund their projects. So that is a big thing to consider. We've got a considerable load demand in the summertime based on temperature, peaks, over 50 megawatts, and then we drop down considerably with the cooler season months. We've also got electric rebate programs to make sure we're doing conservation. So unless we matched load with, say, electric vehicle charging stations or had some way where to put that, that's something that we'd have to find some off-takers or some way to manage that resource.
Is that resource, that 3 megawatts, is that a 100% resource? Has to be around 24/7, around the clock?
I believe so. I'll have to double check but I believe it would be similar to the town site agreement, but I don't have that handy.
That could be a problem. Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Town site has battery storage, right?
Correct.
And that's how they're keeping us on 24.
No, the town site, sorry to click, the town site's saying whatever source they get their power from, they're going to sell to us. So
but they do have battery storage.
They do have battery storage.
But in the contract, just make sure it's totally clear, the contract states they're not guaranteeing us power from their project.
Well,
they're only guaranteeing
you
us.
can't.
I'm guaranteeing the rate. I don't care where it comes from. If they want to pull it from the sun, that's their problem. Okay, I'm guaranteeing the rate. The problem I've got right now is I feel that we're getting to a point where we're going to be on the hook for so much solar purchase that we're going to have to look at battery storage citywide, and I don't think that's something we want to get into. Because if we have to guarantee that consumption of that power 24/7, we've got to have a place to park it.
We don't guarantee the consumption. We pay for it whether we use it or not.
Thank you. And I'm not going to pay for something I don't use. So that's where I'm talking about the battery storage and looking at how our whole portfolio is within the town. Because you could take it on your little substations that you're getting ready to rebuild. You could put in some 20-foot container battery storage and have peaker units in those certain areas. If something happens, we can pick it up and go for it.
I haven't been following that. How's the pricing on that? It was really high.
It's coming down rapidly.
Is it?
It's coming down rapidly. As they dig more lithium mines, they're dropping the price.
So this town site project, that's Elon Musk that's doing that, that I understand that
He's involved in it as a financer. But
I think it's using some of his batteries, maybe.
Well, it is because they've got a surplus of them. And it's the Tesla packs.
That's the reason, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the thing is if it's in a 20-foot container, like I found out through where I used to work, they better have blast walls between the containers.
Yeah.
Because
it's a long ways away, though.
But if one goes up, the next one goes up because of the thermal heat. So they got blast walls they're putting in between the connexes. But I'll tell you what, it sure is pretty to look in a nice, beautifully painted white container and just see row upon row upon row of battery storage.
Have they got them down there in place now? I've looked as I drive by and I haven't been able to figure out where they're at, but,
I think they're at the, what I'd call the wastewater treatment plant end of the project,
are they? Okay,
and that's where their tie is into
In the
the
Mead.
230 Mead sub.
right, okay.
Yep.
And trying to keep it quick, but I think since we're talking solar and stuff, if I understood correctly, the solar panels on the parking lot right over here has been fixed, and they're fully functional now? Did I understand that correctly?
They should be working, yeah. We went out and we had a work order to verify that they're operational, so.
Is that the entire array or just about a tenth of them? It was only about a tenth of the panels that were in service.
It should be the entire array.
The 100 K, I think it's what, 100 kW or something?
You're talking about the parking structure?
Right, uh-huh.
Yeah, it should be
that's good.
set up for, and then the rest, is it's tied to the utility, so it's offset with.
That's really good. I didn't know that. Because I know for a long time it was just about 10% of it is all, but that's good now.
After the meeting, I'll go take a look, because I can't see how we're gonna stuff 100 kW into 25 kVA
Yeah, little transformer,
transformer.
that's the thing that had me wondering, that little 25 kV pot at the end of the array there. That's,
Oh, okay. Well, then we might not have the number
yeah, I
of
think
charging
there were
stations.
about 10 of them that were in service and working, but there were like 90,000 watts of panels that weren't connected. And that's why I was wondering about what we need to do that, whether we have to get a larger three-phase line over there or something to get to it, or, no, it'd be interesting to know anyway. We
Yeah,
can
that's
figure that out.
that's a sidebar, that's off topic right now. We're
I know,
gonna
we'll
get
figure
back
that
on the
out.
water
I thought it was
conservation.
positive, so I was trying to, you guys have been asking about it for some
No,
time.
no,
and so-
because first off, so you get a brief highlight, anytime they add more solar to that system, they gotta put inverters in. There's no new inverters on that system unless they're buried in a trench somewhere.
Okay, so yeah,
So
we'll
that's
talk,
the end of that.
we'll talk about it later then, thank you, sorry, maybe we'll bring up another
So,
solar
yeah, that
issue.
wouldn't be necessarily in the IRP.
No, I understand. I was just,
Right.
I was hoping it would be a minute topic, but sorry. Okay. Okay, so, anything else on the IRP? So, thank you, Joe, for talking about and considering the additional information from the old one. So it'd be a little bit more of the numbers instead of percentages, which I think would be helpful. So if that's feasible, I'd appreciate it.
One other comment on that, is the Bureau and Western pretty confident that we're going to have hydro at least for 5 more years from the two resources, Hoover and Glen Canyon, or the CRSP?
I don't think anybody is
That's what I was wondering. Yeah,
Yeah.
they've had a magic pill there someplace that
no.
a new tunnel coming from the Mississippi or something.
We're going to be talking about that. I mean, it's all about the water, right? That's our fuel. So, I mean, that's next. So, just kind of in conjunction with the IRP, the electric conservation plan, the way we worked at it, and it's in the IRP, but we use electric rebate program. So, and that's one of the committee's goals, and I think something we can look at adding to that program as a possibility that really is a big bang for your buck is smart thermostats. So, I mean, they range, from the $200 range, $170 to $250, depending on the manufacturer. We could look at, 10, 20% type rebate for those. So you could see what rebates we have. The link is on the packet. I'll get you to the various rebate programs that we offer. So window shading, HVAC system, all that stuff, pool pumps, that kind of thing. So if there's no other questions or feedback on the electric IRP, we'll get into the water conservation plan.
We can go out into the water conservation plan.
Okay. So for the water conservation plan, so this is the Title 9, Chapter 14 of the Boulder City Code of Ordinances. And what's in your packet is what came about since the start of the drought. So, we're about the year 2000 is when we entered the current drought that we're in. So you can kind of see here's definitions and kind of goes through waste of water guidelines, responsibility of waste, when to water, all that information, landscape material restrictions, all that's in, and then also the water budget for golf courses. All this has been in place since, the early 2000s. So what is new and what was emailed to the committee Monday and is out as a handout is a red line of a few sections of our code to further control our demand. So the issue that we've got is we've got a demand issue on the Colorado River. The Senate Committee on Energy and Natural Resources, they had a hearing yesterday. Our general manager, John Ensminger for SNWA, was there. And, I'll quote him here in his testimony. What has been a slow motion train wreck for 20 years is accelerating, and the moment of reckoning is near. So, and just kind of keep in mind another thing, Nevada uses 1.8% of the river, of the allocated flows. That's what Nevada uses, 1.8%. And then just to quote the Commissioner Tootin of the Bureau of Reclamation, let's see here. One thing that really interested me, she's talking about potential further cuts to be discussed within 60 days of 2 to 4 million acre feet amongst the states. So we're as a city, we can't do this on our own. We're a member of the SNWA, but I think it's a great opportunity for this committee to really add value, lead the way. We've got a red line in front of us that's further restrictions. So big things to kind of keep in mind. The swimming pool limitation, that's going to be limited to 600 square feet. And then turf limitations, no new turf. And then a lot of this is in line with the new law on non-functional turf. And then the water budget for the golf courses, the SNWA board in their last meeting voted to reduce the water budget from 6.3 acre feet annually per irrigated acre to 4.0 acre feet. So that's about a third reduction. Our golf courses have been at that water budget that we've been at. So we're making strides to get to that new level with turf removal, conversion to warm season grasses, all those efforts. So this is just for update and discussion on the red lines of the code, but just want to bring it to the committee. Hopefully we can have for possible action in the next meeting. The intention is to bring this to City Council at the earliest possible date would be the first meeting in August. So and it's my understanding the way the code ordinances, you introduce a code ordinance, the bill is introduced, and then in the next meeting is when it's voted on. So if we're not able to meet in July, we have to, in the next agenda item in the future, we're going to talk about future agenda items and dates. We've got some construction going on in here, so we got that. We'll get to there, but that gives you an idea of kind of when things will happen. So I fully support this red line, everything in here. I've reviewed it. I'm on board with it. I think we can lead the way and really keep the community in a sustainable path for the future. So I appreciate any feedback you guys have. Just know we're not taking any action on this at this meeting, but I hope you guys have had a chance to review it. If not, take some time and really look it over and just know that we kind of say, hey, we're at a crossroads, that kind of thing. We're at a real critical juncture and we got to do everything that we can. So welcome any feedback from the committee.
One thing that jumps right out at me is under to wastewater, basically number 1, where you have basically redlined and cut and it eliminated for the section for a period of 20 or more continuous minutes, flowing into any gutter, street, sidewalk, or swale or storm drain. That could be difficult for people that have grass in a parkway, where you've got a curb, 4-inch curb between the grass, and trying to keep that grass that's been going on for years and years alive. And I could see how most people aren't going to care, but there's water Nazis out there that are going to see that, and they're going to be reporting that, and I could see that as a problem between a lot of people all over town. I think that's kind of a red flag. It could be an issue that we may want to talk about a little bit, I think.
I think the fact that we don't recycle our indoor water waste, I mean, the water going into the gutter, I mean, that should be rainwater. That's what that should be. So we shouldn't have any irrigation going into the gutter, period. And if we want to be surviving here in the desert, that's what we should consider. How we go about that, is another topic for discussion. But I agree with that change.
I'll tell you, when the wind blows, you're going to have that. And I mean, probably a reasonable person is not going to say anything about that, but there will be those people out there that will probably see that, because sometimes water goes in the street whether you want it to or not. And if you might have designed around it, but you're going to still have that. But that's pretty cut and dried, and that could that could be something that could be a problem down the road, I think.
I've got 2 comments. Number 1, the restriction on time should be put back in, but it should be limited to 6 minutes. Okay.
I would agree with that.
And that will alleviate the problem we're discussing right now on parkway watering. Okay, because you have a time limit on your sprinklers, and what you can have them on for is 4 to 6 minutes. So anything over that, bang. The other thing I've got is with pool construction. If you've got pool construction and you're mandating or recommending strongly that if you drain your pool, it goes into the sewer system, as part of the pool construction that Boulder City is approving, there should be a 2-inch discharge line from the pool equipment going to the nearest sewer connection, but not connected. So in other words, it has a visible physical air gap between the sewer system and the pool discharge line. Because when you're talking 10,000 gallons going out into the street, and I see it in the girly streets quite often, they're draining their pools because the water's too hard. They just let it go in the gutter. Yet there's a clean out doggone in every Lewis home in the front of the house that you can get access to. And if they're building a pool and they're going to spend $30 to $40 to $60, $70,000, it's not going to be much money to run a piece of 2-inch PVC from where the pool equipment is back to that sewer interceptor connecting line. And then they can discharge their pool water into the sewer system, which is a requirement by the sewer pool ordinance. It says it cannot be let loose in the gutter. It has to go into the sewer system. And the problem they're not doing is they're not identifying that clean out in the homes before they start the pool construction, and that should be a requirement, even if they got to run 200 feet of plastic. 2-inch plastic would work fantastic. And now all your water being discharged out of your pool is going to be put into that sewer line. And when they have pool guys come out and replaster pools, they should be required to identify the sewer interconnect and dump their pool water they're draining out for replastering into that sewer line.
So Greg, would that be something that would be, and Joe at the same time, that would be added, that the permitting would be?
That would be part of Boulder City's permit process.
But I think you'd state it here just to make sure that you see it in both places.
That's correct, but it's here. It says when discharging a pool or draining a pool, it's supposed to go into the sewer system.
No, I'm saying is, but that's what you've asked for, is to add to make sure that the people
make sure it's identified. That's correct.
Is that something that's doable in this, Joe?
So I think, like you're saying, it'd be Title 5, Chapter 6 of the Swimming Pool Code. So I mean, this is exactly the kind of thing that I'm, hoping to get from the committee and bring that information
I'm a stickler for reading documents as soon as I come across, and I'll tell you what, guys. Don't get into real estate documents at this day and age. They're the tightest documents I've found is 100 pages, 2 sides.
Yeah.
I agree with what he's got to say there, because 6 minutes would be reasonable. Because there are times when you cannot help water. I mean, no matter how well you design that system, water is sometimes going to go in that gutter. And if you leave it open to where somebody that's walking down the street can see that and call the water cop and report you, and all of a sudden you're up before somebody because the wind blew some water in your gutter even though you didn't want it to. I mean, 6 minutes would be reasonable.
I appreciate that feedback. I mean, just to kind of clarify, we don't have any water cops in Boulder City, so the other communities do. So We don't have a,
We do have C-Click Fix.
right, it's community-based, driven, and that's, we have a passionate community base, and that's why this is a great place to be. But, there's, I think there's ways that we can lead the way, and there's other opportunities for funding too to pursue, federal funding for leak detection and drought resiliency and all this stuff. And so, we have an opportunity to really get on board. And so I just don't want us to get hung up on, this kind of 6 minutes. If that's what the recommendation is to council, then that's fine. That's great. That's something that the committee can kind of present.
I think that would be a smart idea because that gives people an out. Otherwise, if you have it just cut dried, there'll be people that'll be out there seeing the first little drop go in that gutter. They're going to be creating a problem. But if you got a 6-minute deal, I think would be very doable.
Yeah, I agree with the 6 minutes, because right now, I believe you'll find a lot of water on the sidewalks from the city parks and stuff. And so the people are going to complain saying, this gives you no leeway. There's no leeway at all here. You say you shall not, basically is what it is. And if the city's doing it, everybody's going to go, why am I have to do it if the city can't do it? Yeah. And so the minimum 6 would give us, and I would like to see 6 minutes or something like that too, but the minimum would be a time frame. On the golf course, you say it's your budget goes into effect January 1st, 2024. You can't go, it's hard to go from 10 minutes down to 0, saying theoretically, as soon as it's adopted, then you're in violation. That's going to take some doing on certain people's part. Like I said, I'd like to see the city have all their no waste. Then we'd be able to talk a little bit. But it's just a matter of trying to implement it and not be as strict. I think that's what a lot of us, we're all saying the same thing. So there needs to be some flexibility there. And I think the 6 minutes is a good idea because that's, like I said, that's the watering time.
I think to do otherwise would open a can of worms that nobody wants to deal with. I mean, but this gives people an out. It really does, I think.
I appreciate the feedback, just from growing up here and being a resident, and then just seeing what has happened in the last, just how the resource is being, the water resource is diminished in an accelerated fashion, and knowing that we are just a small portion of that. I'm advocating that we do everything that we can, and there's incentives we can offer for folks to, SNWA has turf, rebate programs, and we're taking advantage of that. So it's something that I'm wanting us to keep in there, but I appreciate the feedback of the committee, and whatever the committee decides, what I'll, present to council.
Well, what I'm talking about, and the reason I brought it up, that's a 66% reduction in water going into the gutter from 20 minutes to 6 minutes. That's a 66% reduction in water. I'm not guarantee that's going to be absolute because, we are permitting cars to be washed, out into the street. There's no capture on that. And that's a greater amount of water than what we're talking about coming off a sprinkler from a parkway.
Another thing we need to remember that Boulder City is a little bit different than Vegas in that Boulder City in 1980 was that 42 years ago implemented a growth control ordinance, partly to preserve our resource, our water, and our power. And whereas Las Vegas continues to grow and encourages growth. So, as I've said before, anything that we save here out of our allocation will be gladly picked up and used by Las Vegas to encourage growth. And so that's the big thing that probably nobody else wants to touch is growth, but we've done that here already. So we're probably way ahead of the game in some respects. I agree that we need to encourage conservation. I am all about that. But remember, we've probably done more than anybody else in the fact that we have encouraged limited growth to preserve that resource that was mainly water and power, but at the time it was more power, but now I think it's probably more water that we're actually conserving and trying to conserve.
I've got one sidebar question because I've been out for a while. Driving in from Henderson now into Boulder City by Railroad Pass, Goodfellows has started grading roading into their property from the overpass intersection. And it is a huge road they're taking and cutting into that property. And that property's all been graded for development. Are we aware of that as a city?
Unfortunately, I don't think that's, able to be discussed on this agenda item.
Well, we're talking about conservation, Joe, and that dovetails right into what we're being asked to do here and who benefits from it when we give it up.
Well, we're specifically talking about the electric resource plan, electric rebates, and then the water conservation plan. So as it's written in the red line. So, I'd be happy to answer any questions outside of this, but I think that that's off the agenda topic.
So then if are you going to send us a copy of the Southern Nevada Water? Is the Southern Nevada Water Authority conservation plan been updated?
It has for the year, so I can send that to you guys. And then the plan is also to have a member presentation. When we bring this to City Council. So it's something. If it's something that the committee would like to see before the presentation goes to council, I could see if we can kind of get that arranged either for July or in August, if that's something that would be desired of the committee. But I can get that their water plan for the year to the committee.
Yeah, when I looked online for it didn't come up as a package, so maybe I did something wrong, but it just was a whole bunch of click on this, click on that. But I did notice that so my understanding was that it was from 2019 to 2024, and on their website they have, so in relationship to this is the reason I'm bringing it up, they had it as of 2021 that they changed the new turf from 50% of the backyard in new development to 0.
That's correct.
So, and that's what you have in here is that we no longer have any grass period for any new construction anywhere except for parks or recreation aspects. Okay, so I just wanted to make sure we were clear on that. Go ahead. Great.
I've got one document correction, I feel, on page 7 of 10, where it says water budget for golf courses. There's a bar graph here on table 2, or table 1, I'm sorry, my eyes. It doesn't lead anywhere. That needs to be altered to where it's either moved down to match the table on the next page, or something's got to be corrected, because when you go to the next page and you look at the table, there's no header telling what you're looking at.
Yeah, that will be connected as one item. I think it just with the track changes in the red line document, it got broken up, but in the actual finished product, it will be one piece.
I'm just bringing that up as a comment.
Thank you.
Because I did read it.
So I guess, so I believe we have time, so Joe, do you mind if we just go through the pages, right, the red line comments?
No, not at all. Please take as much time as needed.
Okay, why don't we just go through the pages really quick, so let's see, I guess if I got the right one. So on page 1, we've mentioned the wastewater number 1, 3 and 4, I believe, or did anybody have any comments on 3 or 4 at this point? Okay, I didn't think we had any. They were pretty. Okay, now the new turf. So basically, I guess since there is no new turf for residential and stuff, I guess the other was really clear for each group, but now we're saying this is the way it's going to be. So I suppose there's nothing to be done there. So anybody have questions on page 2, turf limitation? The only question, I'm sorry, I interrupted myself, but really quickly, should we say new turf? Because there's really nothing about existing turf, except, there's nothing about existing turf.
Correct. Yep, that's how the how it's structured.
But on 9/8/18, the title says turf limitations, so this would be new turf limitations, because it doesn't, you would assume, if it says turf limitations, then that would also say existing, and this doesn't, there's nothing about existing turf in this.
Should probably have new in front of it.
Okay.
I think it'd just be helpful. Good. Do you have something else, Ned?
No, I think it was good from there.
Okay. Okay, so the swimming pool, then it starts with swimming pool size, and so where was your thought on the was that part of the swimming pool, or was that somewhere else you were asking Greg?
Well, the one thing I find interesting about the swimming pool, and Ned will get to chuckle out of this, we say 600 square feet surface area. It doesn't say how deep. It doesn't say how deep. If I want to go 20 foot deep, 600 square foot on the surface, 20 foot deep, that's a lot of volume of water. There has to be a cap on the depth.
But the loss is based on evaporation?
No,
So
the
that's
loss is based on volumetric gallons per pool. In other words, the square footage of evaporation, most people, you can fix that by putting a pool cover in the code. Pool must be covered with a pool cover during off-season. But I'm saying, how deep can you dig a 600 square foot pool?
I mean, good luck, I guess. If you want to do that, you can. But the idea here is to limit the real expansive infinity pools that you're getting at these super luxury homes. We do have some of those, here in this area, but it's to prevent those big giant users of water, and it's to limit to what would be a moderate pool size, which
So
is
then why don't we
600 feet.
say 600 square foot surface area for, 20 by 30 equals 600 square foot of surface area to minimize evaporation loss?
Yeah, we can add that. I mean, it
Because
says
that way it makes sense to people.
it says combined total surface area of pools, spas, and/or outdoor water features at a single-family property cannot exceed 600 square feet.
In
So it's
order to
combined.
minimize evaporation loss, which is what you just said to me,
Okay.
because that's what you're doing. And then that will dovetail into the fact that new pools built shall be supplied or have a pool cover to limit evaporation loss.
Okay, so then at the beginning of that, you have effective date. So are you using the effective date above where it says effective as of January 14th, 2021?
So I think the effective date would be in conjunction with that. The probably be in line with the golf course water budget, or it could be the effective date when this portion of the code was adopted, or calendar year.
So it's
I
just a
left-
placeholder?
It's a placeholder, yes.
Okay, I just making sure. At first off, that's what I thought. Then when I saw effective date on DUP, I was just trying to make sure I understood it properly. Okay, any other questions on number 3 or comments? Page 3. Okay, page 4. I have, I guess it's somewhat lengthy, but could we get a appendix at least? Because to go to the southern, it's a pain to have to go to another I always hate when you have to go to another document to get a definition. So and there it says where you got definitions, and under common area you have the new one, yes, non-functional turf. And non-functional turf is based on what is existing turf grass that does not meet the definition of functional turf. So now I got to go to SNWA to find out what functional turf is. And then when I did go there, it is pretty lengthy, and it doesn't explain the residential turf. You have to go to Q&A, at least that's what I did, to understand that that the residential turf is not subject to everything else. So existing residential turf.
I think we could look at adding an appendix or a footnote to the law, So the state law that was approved, that's what definition is referring to, is a non-functional turf. So it's in reference to the non-functional turf law to meet the removal of non-functional turf by the end of 2026.
Okay, that might be the intent, but you still have to go to functional turf, and you don't know that until you go to the SNWA site.
So you're recommending that be included here?
Yeah, originally I thought it'd be nice to just include it in this page, but I think it's a long one, so maybe it might have to be under appendix or something to say it's several issues.
Okay.
It would be helpful. Anybody else on page 4? Okay, so page 5, I guess if we could just, on 914.3A3, if we could change that to, at least we're suggesting to have that as 6.
And then Larry.
Go ahead, Craig.
914-9-14-3A4 is where the sewer receptacle is noted for draining pools.
Right, so it's recommended.
Right, but I'm saying nowhere in the pool guidelines section does it say we need to tie that in to where it's not an option. It has to be identified on the property.
Got it.
Okay, so this is a recommendation, but in the pool building code, it should say will be identified on property. So the homeowner and people are aware of where it is. And then, like I said, the other thing to do, which is the real nice thing to do, is put a 2-inch discharge sitting up above that sewer receptacle to where there's no cross-contamination, that you can blow the pool down into that thing, and now you're capturing all the water from a pool drain or acid wash or whatever.
What you're suggesting is then it's best to put something in page 3, title 5, just as a saying.
Well, what I'm saying is on page 5, it says where sewer receptacle is available, it should say /identified.
Right, well, I think part of what we're saying is that if you got the old pools that you can't do it, so that's an out for those that can't really do it. But on the pool code, anything new should have that.
And so this is all new pool construction document.
No, well, I'm not sure. That's the thing. That's some of the questions. But I guess anything related to new pool, I guess if you guys could at least look at that, where that would best go, just to say that that's part of the. Because then again, people could see it in both locations. See it here that they're expected to do that, and as well as permitting. Because if you somebody might start here going, okay, what do I have to? What is my water limitation for a pool?
And that feedback's appreciated.
So I think we just do it in the pool section on page 3, Greg, and I don't think we have anything on page 5 to worry about, right? You're just making sure that.
If possible, it's always possible. Okay, that's the thing. In other words, I watched the guy drain a pool with 200 foot of plastic collapsible hose. He ran it right to the gutter. The sewer interceptor receptacle was 50 feet closer to the house. He didn't have to go all the way out to the gutter. They just choose path of least resistance.
Gotcha.
And then nobody says anything, and you follow the water stream of 20 or 30 gallon per minute going down the gutter, and you find the hose coming out of a pool they're draining because the water's too hard. It's kind of a shame, because I know the city, myself in particular, would love to have 20,000 gallons of water to flush our sewer lines out.
Well, I guess that's the question is then at least can you maybe to go back and look at that and talk to the water group and is a sewer or whatever and say, is that something that could be modified or at least make it a stronger recommendation?
Okay, so just so I understand the 914.3.4, you're recommending that, not necessarily where sewer receptacles are available, but in new pool construction?
Yeah, it should say available and identified.
Okay.
Well, I guess what I think I'm hearing, just sorry to make sure, is that if the sewer receptacle, if I'm hearing you, Greg, you said the receptacle is there, but they're not using it. And so by saying it is recommended, then
And identified.
then it's not necessarily, this is not saying you have to. So we're
but
being
see-
pretty strict in some areas, and this one is giving leeway.
Right, but here's what happens, if the water, the see-click fix people see water going down the gutter, and that's in there, now that's an enforceable, because right down below, responsibility of waste.
I'm just trying, so we definitely want something in the pool section. I guess what I would say is, if I understand correctly, on A 9.14.3, A4, is just have the water group look at it and see if there's something more that they might want to add.
Okay, I'll do that.
And Howard, you were?
No, I'm agreeing with you guys. I want it to go into the sewer.
Okay, that's it. So it's just a
So-
matter of how it can be, might need to be a little bit extra wordage there or something.
You're
The only,
thinking,
the only concern the only issues I've run into is if it overloads a lift station. And, so the rate of flow out of it can be an issue. It's happened but this was really communities that had very small, extremely small lift stations that were only like 100 GPM type pumps, and they're dumping it out at 200 gallons a minute or pumping it out. It overloads the sewer plant.
Well, and if you
So-
happen to have 3 or 4 people doing it at the same time.
Correct.
It
Right.
could,
So
it could be a problem.
that's other coordination though, I think.
Yeah.
So
I think it's a good idea that they be,
I think everything buddy's right now.
because there are a lot of, I know there's a lot of homes, because I had experienced one a few years back, where I didn't know where the clean out was. It was out front, but I dug a huge hole all over the front yard until I finally found it. But I think it'd be a good idea. They take the time maybe to identify where, if they have a pool, because they probably have a clean out somewhere in their front yard. Take the time to identify it and make that available to them,
But what they do is they cut it off because it's a nuisance, and then they cap it. And that's right, and that's exactly what happens. Most of them, when the houses were constructed, were built proud of the land, and you could see them. But the thing is there's a quick fix for that, and we all know what it is. It's an 8-inch concrete circle with sewer clean out underneath.
Yeah, so again, Joe, we're just suggesting that language be looked at by staff and see if if they want to tweak it a little bit to make it a little bit more encouraging more than just a recommendation. Even if you want us to give it a date, by such and such a year, this is going to be more of a, because that's one thing I'm trying to do is I want to give people a little bit of time. Some of these things might need a little bit of time just to make sure you can get things established or things fixed, however you want to say, or redone. Okay, so the rest of it's on 5 is there, and I think we're pretty much okay. Page 6 is just another continuation. So Sunday's that deletion is a leftover from times gone by.
yeah, so it'd be, no watering on Sunday.
Right. Right. Okay. So that we start 914-6 and landscaping material restrictions. Again, the following landscape material will apply as landscape restrictions.
So just to summarize, previously we've restricted, and this is for new residences, shall be limited to no new turf in the front. So now to kind of continue on, for new residences, installation of new turf is prohibited in the front, side, and rear yards.
Yeah, I saw that. So again, should we put that as new landscape material restrictions? Because this is all related to new, right?
There is like 3. It says regardless of date. That thing. So it's and then for non-residential landscape restrictions, it's installation of new turf, not new non-residential. So I think the title is good how it is. We define that it's for new residences. It's limited below. And then you break off into section 2 on the next page, talks about non-residential.
Okay. Okay, so then on 7, so you've explained 1A, and then we're eliminating B. Okay. No, B, 1B is a deletion. A1B, page 7.
That would be redundant because it's got a maximum amount of turf, and so now we're saying no new turf.
No, I understand.
Okay,
I'm
just to clarify.
I'm just clarifying. Thank you. Okay, then 3. Okay, so now we're saying so on 914-7, we have B, which is non-functional turf, so that's a ultimatum by 2027. So any non-functional turf has to be removed by that time. And is there okay, so the definition is that if that's what we're trying to figure out is based on what functional turf, anything that's not functional turf is non-functional.
Yeah, and just to clarify, this is just, it can't be watered, right? So non-functional turf is supposed to be removed by the end of 2026. So this is restrictions on outdoor water use. So any non-functional turf that's been identified by that, if it's not removed before that date, even though it's supposed to be, can't be watered by any portion of water serving Boulder City without an approved waiver from the Southern Nevada Water Authority.
And that goes into effect in 27, not 26.
Yeah, January 1st, 2027.
But, okay, so you're saying 26, though. You're saying there's 2 steps here, and I only see the one.
Well, what I'm saying is that per the law, the state law for non-functional turf, you have to the end of 2026 to remove all of your non-functional turf. So this is just saying that, you're not going to continue to water that non-functional turf if you haven't removed it unless you have an approved waiver from the Southern Nevada Water Authority.
Okay. I guess that's one of the confusing. So this is a guideline or not rules of what you can't do, but is there going to be something possibly on the website or something in the future to sort of show what to expect from reductions? Because a goal would be to reduce, I think like the city would be, we're going to, here's what we've pinpointed as non-functional turf, and so everybody sort of understands there's nothing in here that really pinpoints what would be expected. It doesn't, but because if you can figure out what non-functional turf is, but I think we're still a little confused. So as a actual goal, if we could see something related to that would be helpful. Am I missing something on that?
We've got a contractor that we're working with to identify non-functional turf in all of our parks, and as well as a separate contractor working on non-functional turf within the municipal golf courses.
And then, so is it just the parks include, like for instance, the police department was talked about a lot.
Sure.
That's considered within the same. Okay.
Right.
Because I guess I wouldn't consider that a park. But
right.
I'm just being technical weenie.
Well, I mean, if it's being used, then it's going to be. So a lot of folks might consider the area around City Hall an area, as is non-functional, but it in fact is used at various times.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Yep.
So, and then that's the reason I guess it would be understanding what. So we know what to expect. Is so we sort of, because I think we're still a little confused on what some people consider not used and what other people do. Go ahead, Greg.
Real quick question. Is Boulder City part of the Uniform Building Code? Or what plumbing code have we adopted?
I'll have to double check that, but from what I can recall, what the county has adopted is what we
Because
also.
the question I'm going to bring up, which might be a bag of worms, but gray water, is gray water allowed to be discharged onto lawns?
I do not know that off the top of my head. I don't know, and I don't necessarily see that, so I could look into that question.
Well, the reason being is because every washing machine is classed as gray water, no phosphorus or not low phosphorus. And I know a lot of people over in SoCal are now using the gray water out of their washing machines to water their lawns. And one gentleman I know in particular is getting almost 200 gallons a week out of his washing machine that he's able to keep his parkway lawn watered with and his trees, and they love it. So we had something brought up a while back, Joe, that a developer was talking about, or somebody was talking about being able to retrofit houses for gray water and using the gray water for watering. So nowhere is that addressed in this document, and that's why I brought it up.
I'll appreciate that. I appreciate that feedback, and I'll forward that on to the folks that did this kind of red line. We can see if we can add that in.
I think that's a good idea because gray water use especially in California, is a big deal. And we're our neighbors. They're our neighbors anyway, and we'll probably be seeing it here as well.
In fact, what was really surprising to me is 5 years ago, you were forbidden in California to collect any rainwater. And now it's a requirement in new construction that rainwater barrels be installed in all houses.
Okay, so we got to the non-function, then we start with the golf course. Did anybody have any comments on the golf course section on page 7? Okay, go to page 8. Let me jump to page 9 just because I'm confused, just to make sure that to support help in the future, give it a time frame. So reading in page 8, 914-10 says that you'd see the following uses shall be exempt, and fountains and water features of less than 10 feet. It used to be 25. And then on page 9, you go to fountains and features prior to September 1st, 2009. So unless I missed something, which I might have read through it too quickly, now if you have a 12-foot fountain, for instance, that you were built in 2010, what happens?
Yeah, I'm not sure if how we would enforce that, and I know the code's structured criminally right now, so they're working on getting that changed to a civil kind of a code update. So, I don't know if that would be kind of a warning letter, and then you go into enforcement from there. The idea is never to, and to my knowledge, we haven't actually issued any kind of violations that I'm aware of. So the idea is you kind of send the letter to them, and that usually folks, for whatever it is, they're on board with it. Now, if they want to if they've got a 12-foot fountain, I'm not aware of any 12-foot fountains in the community. There could be one though, and that's certainly something we can address as if we have that particular case.
Well, I guess I just picked a number because before it was 25, so theoretically you would have a 24 or 25 foot because that's what the older one allowed. And then, now it's 10 foot. Again, it's just a matter of, I'm just trying to be fair. If something happens, do they have to take a jackhammer to it to get it out as soon as this is in effect? Yeah. And I guess I'm just trying to make sure I understand, and the same thing for them, just a fairness. If nothing else, anything that between that time frame, they have a certain time frame to get taken care of, and not 48 hours or a couple months type thing. I just thought if somebody can look at that, I'd appreciate it. I'm just trying to figure out helpful. I don't have any fountains myself. Because I understand that's one of the big wastes that people are looking at. Okay, anybody else have anything on either page 8 or 9? Okay, so then 10 is just no changes there. So we'll confirm it on the next agenda item, but my understanding what you want to do is you'll see what our suggestions you can incorporate, if I understand correctly, and then send it. I guess it would be nice to send it out possibly, if you have time before the July 6th meeting. We'll find that out in the next couple of agenda items, who might or might not be here, if we're going to have a quorum, and so that needs to be done. But if we get it sent out earlier, then maybe everybody at least can look at it. And if anybody has any concerns that won't be here on the 6th, then we can make it pass forward to you possibly. Is that something doable?
Yeah, so what I'm kind of envisioning, so this was a great discussion. It's just an update and discussion, so I've taken several notes. What I'm going to do now is incorporate the feedback that you guys had, try and get the additional information kind of beyond there. And then the next meeting that we have, this will be for possible action and have the committees take on. There would be opportunity at that point to, again, make corrections, revisions, anything like that beyond there, and then would really like to get a motion action from the committee, so that was presented to council before it gets to them.
Any other comments? Well, thank you, Joe. This is helpful. I appreciate that we have the opportunity to look at it. And so I appreciate that. Okay, so I think we've covered item 4 completely. We've got the IRP and the water conservation plan. So I guess we'll go to for possible action, discussion, and possible action of committee goals, priorities, and deliverable results. Is there a possibility we could bring that goals up on the screen? So I guess we can talk a little bit about that while we're looking at it. As you'll see, Joe and I did talk about this, and Joe had some good suggestions on actually expanding 3 and 4, and we'll see that as people, if you saw it in package or not. He just actually clarified, his suggestion was to clarify 3 and 4 a little bit more broadly, which gives some general conservation plans and general resources. So not just water conservation plans or just the IRP. So I appreciate that, and I think that helps.
Water conservation plan?
No, the goals.
I don't know where the goals are. You're gonna have to show me, Josh, because this is all new. Because they took away the, have you guys is here.
So while they're pulling it up, my thought was, and then Joe, if you have any other comments, is that we just go through the goals really quick and just sort of say, okay, here's the goal, here's the timeline that we have on there, and sort of understand what, and maybe, and this one might take a little bit longer. I don't think it's going to take too long, but a little bit longer than it would take on a normal time, because I think we're looking at possibly doing this on a monthly for a little while, just sort of see where we're at. Was that correct, Joe?
Yeah, and the 4 possible action is, since we've revised the goals to, as you mentioned, Larry, to kind of broaden goals 3 and 4 to align with the resolution. This would be something that we kind of do a check-in, kind of see what the objectives, update, and tentative timeline. We would be working on the update column as aligned to the goal, and what I like to do with future staff reports, future agenda items, they would all be aligned with a particular goal, so it's really clear to the committee, this is why we're working on this item, this is why we're seeing this, taking action, or discussing this, and what goal it aligns to.
Okay. So yeah, it's a little, okay, thank you for enlarging it some. So I guess we can also read it. So the biggest thing is I can.
Constructive criticism, can we cut the lights 50%?
You can put them on your side. Just one.
Here you go, if you guys want to, if you
Yeah,
want to share that with you guys, you can.
Yeah.
You can.
I was thinking I have a copy of it too.
Yeah, you can turn them all off if you want. Yeah.
Is that better?
no, what's worse?
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Thanks. You guys get there?
Yep.
Yep.
Let me know when you want to move up.
Okay. So, do you want to go through, Joe, or do you want me to go through? What do you want to do?
I think it'd be great. We could both go through together, but if you want to go ahead and kind of lead it off, Larry, I'm okay with that.
Okay. So right now, the way I'm reading, and so make sure, Joe, that we're all on the same page. So we have annual. Number one is the annual review of 5-year CIP and ongoing CIP review. So what we're doing right now, if I understand correctly, is really ongoing. We're still looking at any major updates, any to be done on a monthly schedule, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so that would be the ongoing CIP review.
Okay, so whether we need to put that in the timeline or just have I can go either way. Because right now, actually, we do have every other month for related ongoing SIP. So do we want to change that to every month for right now and then just see if that's a problem?
Yeah, I mean, we could change to every month for related ongoing CIP update or as needed. I think every month we could report on something, so I'm fine with doing that. Just being mindful of if there's not updates for particular items that we're not, doing a deep dive. This is just an update.
Right. No, I appreciate that. That's what I was trying to get at earlier, was that if we wanted a deep dive, if we would do that on a quarterly or bi-yearly basis, but that's not something we need every month. Well, is there anybody have any concerns, or do you have a time to look at the objectives? I didn't go through them unfortunately as much, because I think we ironed them out pretty well last couple times. Did anybody see anything in the objectives?
On item 1?
Yes.
No.
Okay. So with that, then, so what we're doing is, can the city send a blind copy of the CIP calendar to the group?
Yes.
And then go down to the bottom, though, is what I'm understanding is that we expect to see some things start in September for the CIP, though. Is that correct?
Yeah, so actually going to be July and August on the CIP. It'd be a little bit sooner than...
For the 5-year, I'm sorry. I mean, for the 5-year plan.
Oh, okay, yes.
So we would expect something to come in front of this committee starting in September for the 5-year CIP.
Mm-hmm.
Is the update on item 1 update column correct, saying December of 2021?
Yeah, and I mean they approved they totally approved it too, in the approval of the 2023 fiscal year budget. So we can correct that update to say that the FY23 CIP has been
Well, the reason
approved.
I'm asking the question is I'm reading this document. It says staff to meet with city department directors in August.
Correct.
Should it say staff met with city department directors in August?
No, that's still accurate. That's the kind of the timeline in
Okay.
July and August.
Will
Yeah.
present UAC following director meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Council tentatively approved FY23 CIP in December of 21.
So those first two sentences are still good, and
Right.
but the last sentence should be, council approved the FY23 CIP with approval of the FY23 budget.
Okay, that's why I was asking, because I'm reading it as a living document
Yeah.
and going forward, and then the last sentence is the back statement.
Right.
Well, the one thing is, though, now, because the next time we're going to meet, we're going to be in the new fiscal year.
Correct.
So do we want to just state this drop it period, and then it'll be coming next time when they do the tentative approval that would go in there? Because I'm not sure saying that the final was approved is, I'm not sure that's helping
Relevant,
us.
right? Yeah. So okay. So what I'm gathering is take out other, as well as the last sentence in the update. Is that you guys want to?
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. In other
Okay.
words, it's confusing if somebody that is not knowing how the city budget works, it's confusing for them to try to read that and say, this is a current document for our goals, and this is what happened we'll say 2 years ago for argument's sake.
You guys want to make a motion on this one goal and then be done with it? Or since we don't have the ability to edit this on the fly with the Word document live, we've got
I
the
think we
PDF
should
version.
have-
Let's
I
go
think we
ahead.
should have a vote.
Okay.
Okay, so you want to do it per each one? It'd probably be easier.
Yes, each one.
Okay, so on the, I guess that's the only thing we're changing right now is that aspect, is that correct?
Yeah, so to be clear, the change that I'm understanding is to take out other out of the tentative timeline. It will be every month. And then we can also take out every other month in the objectives.
Okay.
We can give you the CIP report from the CM every month if we're going to give you an update every month if you want it. And then just know that we might not go over it if we're not going to have an update. So
No, I understand.
Okay, so take out other in the tentative timeline, and then every other month in the objectives, and the last sentence in the update column.
Okay.
Is that how I understood the potential motion?
That is correct.
Correct. Now, I think to make it easier for us, and since we can do it, is that I believe we can make a motion is to accept staff's recommendation. So your recommendation is what you just stated, and we would accept that. Is that okay?
I believe so.
Okay. Is everybody okay with that? Instead of repeating okay. So the motion is to accept staff's recommendation for goal number 1. If everybody's in favor, say aye. Well, sorry, I need a second. We need a motion, need a second, sorry.
I'll make a motion to follow staff recommendations for
Turn your mic
number
on.
1. I make a recommendation I move that we accept the goal modifications for item 1 of the UAC goals as suggested by staff.
Get a second.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say nay. Passes unanimously. Thank you. Okay, thanks for the suggestions, Joe. Okay, number 2 then. So we've got annual review of water, sewer, electric, and landfill revenue requirements. So I think that covers, and as we look at the objectives, you see that this is what we suggested that to cover. It covers quite a few of the financial aspects. So if you look at that, they look at the objectives closely, really quick. Does anybody have anything to goal or to the objectives? Anything to change? Okay. So now we have a few things. So now we go to the tentative timeline. We have start to update financial plan in January. So I guess that would work. Now, I think there's 2 things that I didn't see. We didn't do anything this year relating to the 5-year plan. Did we just come back to that, or is that a placeholder? Do you know anything about that, Joe?
I think we can come back to that, especially with this year being a 5-year IRP year, and that we're just kind of getting into the flow of the goals, and then just kind of keeping in mind the tentative timeline on this one. It includes O&M. So you got the CIP and that financial piece of it coming in the summertime, and then to be presented in the fall or September, and then the annual review of the revenue requirements, which includes the CIP, is going to also include O&M, and that's going to be introduced, and we start working on that in January. So it's to get the committee involved in that process. I see what you're saying. The 5-year budget plan.
Yes, we have. That's. I think that comes at a later date, and we didn't do it this year. Just so that's fine if we can do that. That'd be just. I think all I would do is just add tentative time or update. But I would like to see something in the tentative time for the rate review. I think if we can maybe put in the tentative timeline workshop by the fall of 2022, or just say the fall, depending on how you want to do it.
Okay, so you're saying a workshop in fall of 2022?
Yeah, so rate workshop.
Okay.
Does that sound okay to everybody?
So that would be October, maybe, or
That'd probably be good early, yeah. So the only reason we give a little flexibility just to make sure we don't have, because I think that's going to take up, I would believe, a half of a meeting, if not more.
Okay.
To do it right, to get it started right. So yeah, we could and maybe say fall in parentheses October. How about something like that?
okay.
Because I guess what is it? November still fall. So, but yeah, I'd like to do it sooner than later, definitely.
Okay. Yeah, kind of keeping in mind, kind of looking ahead too, because we got the you know, if we want to give us a little bit of cushion for the IRP, we could vote on that or have the committee vote on that in October. If you think November's enough time for that, then we can have the rate workshop in October. If not, you know, kind of swap those around. But the idea with the rate review or study, just kind of based on economic conditions, cost of wholesale electricity going up 28% for this fiscal year for what the city is paying for. You know, it's staff's recommendation that we really initiate a new rate study, kind of immediately starting FY24. So that would be July of next year to get that going.
Yeah. So what I'm thinking is that we would want, and I don't know if you want to put that in, I think we need a couple meetings. So first, my thought would be is I think we can talk about it here really quickly, is that part of it would be the rate structure. So I think the first meeting, if nothing else, you bring out the resolutions, the water resolution, the electric resolution, and the sewer resolution, and you say, okay, here's the rate structures. Here's what they currently are, and here's what here's the rates prices. And so do we want to reviewing those, as well as, okay, you want to do a rate, have another consulting, and so then we can start building on what we really want to have them look at. And so I would say if we start by looking at it that way, then you might need minimum of another meeting or two to keep moving it forward. I think there's a lot of data that has to be go through and understood to get it to really where we want it. I think there was some misunderstandings with the last consulting, and that's what I want to try to avoid.
Okay. So for changes on here, I mean, in my notes, I've got tentative time for rate review. So to add to the tentative timeline, rate workshop fall 22 in parentheses October. Was there any other detail we want to add here? We're just kind of having discussion.
Do you want to put down meeting? Do we want to put the second one down or just add it later? Because I'm pretty positive it's going to take more than one meeting.
So it should say first.
Yeah, the first meeting, that'd be good.
Okay.
That'd be good. So to get an inclination. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so I've got first rate workshop / meeting, you know, fall 2022, parentheses October, to be added to the tentative timeline.
Does that sound good to everybody? Mm-hmm. Okay. Now the update, okay, I'm sorry. So Joe, is there anything else on that?
That's all I've got.
Okay, so on the update, I think this was something I had encouraged, but I'm not sure that I would like to understand the CAFR better. So we got update a financial plan pending on completion of the CAFR. So I guess what that's saying is that once the CAFR starts, the CAFR is usually done somewhere between October and December. Probably October's early, December's, so it's usually around November. So I think the reason I had asked for that was that then we could start looking at financials after the financials have been done. So does that make sense to everybody, or do we want to modify that update? It's sort of a starting point. Joe, would you agree with that too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I don't, this will be my first experience with the CAFR, so I might be a little off on the timeline of it, but that's my understanding.
It says it's late fall, so I think, so that's what they can do it. So does anybody have any, so I guess just leave that there and we can update it later if need be.
Yeah, I think it's usually done before the end of November, so it's fine.
Okay. So I guess then the only change we have is just to the tentative timeline, right?
Yeah, be that first rate workshop / meeting. And are you okay with a / meeting, just in case we have
Sure.
You want to keep,
Yep.
okay. First
Sure.
rate workshop / meeting, fall 2022, October parentheses.
Okay. So again, I guess if somebody wants to do a motion on accepting the staff's recommendation for the tentative timeline, the annual B or however somebody wants that to be a way, I'd suggest.
I make a motion that we accept staff's update to items on number 2. Is that enough?
I think that, yeah, covers it. Any second?
Second.
Okay.
Second.
Any discussion? That's one thing I've. Okay, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it. It's unanimously passed. Thank you. So I don't know, this one, if we start on number 3 and make sure I can read it. Yeah, there's a little bit bigger there. Review development of utility conservation plans and programs. So Joe suggested changing that. I agree with it because it gives us electrical, water, basically anything to do with conservation, then we would be able to review it. Present water conservation plan to UAC to review and recommendations. Staff to present water conservation plan with UAC recommendations to City Council. Now the objectives then, do we want to add one more to that? Would that be staff to present additional conservation plans, just so it's clear? Or do we need that since?
I mean, we got the electric rebate plan is a portion of the IRP. There's some overlap there, but that would be, kind of part of this resource management. So I guess if we can add another bullet, if the UAC has recommendations for additional rebates or additional electric conservation plan.
Go ahead, Greg.
I'd like to see that added in there for conservation plans, because we're talking water into these 2 bullets, and then we don't have anything for the electrical or the rebate programs. So I'd like to see that added into this committee goals, a review, and like an annual review of our rebate program, because a lot of people in town don't know anything about it.
Yeah, and I just found out you've only got 60 days to do it anyway, so. It'd be, yeah, if we could get some information out there, it'd be good. So I guess, so yeah, I agree. Joe, it's just, so do we want to put the rebate, or do we just say any staff to present any electrical conservation plans? That way it just makes it a little broader.
Sure. Yeah, we could do, staff to present electric conservation plan with UAC recommendations to City Council.
Yes, that sounds good.
All right.
Please.
And just background information, we just reworded the goal to align with exactly what the resolution says. So I kind of look at the resolution. That's what's driving the committee. So we changed water conservation plans and programs to utility, like the resolution states.
It broadens it out to be more generic instead of having it site-specific or title-specific, and that's what I like. It gives us a little leeway to take and a little wiggle room for topic.
So conservation to be discussed in spring of 22, March, so that is passed.
Late spring, but we're still in spring technically, so we did discuss it.
How many more days?
Yeah, until the 21st. So do we have a time frame? Okay, so we're going to, I guess we might as well put the next time frame as you're asking us to vote on the water conservation in the next meeting. So I guess we'll find that out if everybody's scheduled in this one or the next agenda item to say, why don't we put July 6th down, and then to say that staff, well, what do you want, Joe? What's your best thing on that one?
So we'll get rid of March. So on the timeline will be present updated water conservation plan to council in August. So if it's for that's kind of what I was thinking for that August meeting. If you want to put recommendation from the committee prior to that, that would be ideal. So
For July 6th.
yeah, July, August, just because the bill ideally will be introduced at the August meeting. Still gives the committee opportunity to have a meeting in between that time before when the next council meeting has to vote on it. So I'll say July/August for UAC. Let's see, I'm sorry, we're on the timeline, getting tripped up here. So July, August, UAC to recommend to council.
Okay. Now, the one thing is it adds extra verbiage in, but I think some of it what might have hung us up in the past too with this is the conservation plan associated with the code.
Right.
And so do we say just the conservation, was something, so we get the code in there to understand it's part of the code, not a separate plan?
I think it's the same thing. I think it's fine the way it is. Gives us some flexibility to do either or.
Okay, so if you come up with a different plan, then we'd be doing both.
Right.
Okay.
Joe, you want to put in there, in this one column here, conservation to be discussed in spring, summer of 2022?
So we discussed it. So I'd say, recommended code changes to council July, August 22. So recommended code changes to city council from UAC July, August 22.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because you could do the update, you could state in the update that it was discussed in the May meeting. That way you've got a documentation of that we discussed the plan. So we'll get to the next one. I'm getting ahead of the game. Let you finish the timeline first.
Do we want to carry the goals, objectives, timeline, tentative timeline, and update header to the second page?
We could do that.
Yeah, it'd be helpful.
I think we can do that, so.
Make the print smaller and you got more room to work.
Okay, so just some recap with you guys. Goal 3, we want an additional bullet, and that's staff to present electric conservation plan to UAC. Plan with UAC recommendations to City Council. So it's just like bullet 2, but it's electric conservation plan.
Correct.
Okay. And then in the tentative timeline, I've got recommended code changes to City Council July, August 2022.
Okay, I got you. So you put code. Yeah, that I like that. Okay.
And the other note was carry the formatting header to this, which I think is possible.
Let's go over to the update then, right quick, because
Okay.
Present the latest data.
Yeah, I'm not so sure what that means exactly.
And then let's finish the thing with side. And then in the future, create PowerPoint with SNWA conservation info and introduce how Boulder City is complying and how we want to further conserve efforts. So I think would be left there.
So I kind of think maybe to clean that up, I would suggest, getting ready to present the latest data. Okay, we say PowerPoint from SNWA with conservation info and how Boulder City is complying and how we're, because that's what SNWA is planning on doing. They can either bring it to the committee or they're going to bring it to City Council. But that's, they're going to be prepared and they want to, have a PowerPoint to show with the red line that we discussed today. Why are we doing this kind of thing?
Okay. I guess since we're still a little confused with all the different aspects, I think it would be advantageous to have, I guess, them possibly come to us first. If that's,
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting. So we get rid of present the latest data, and we say PowerPoint from SNWA with conservation info and how Boulder City will comply and or how we want to further conservation efforts.
But do we want that the timeline then too, to say that July or August, or possibly August, I guess would be have them come in the August meeting?
Well, I think that's an update because I've spoken with them and they are prepared to be at the council meeting whenever we have it.
But I thought we said that we're going to do it here first.
It's a possibility if we can meet in July, but if they're going to introduce the bill in August, then they would present the presentation at that August meeting when the bill's introduced, and then I can have the presentation as backup or show it again to the UAC, which would be a week after the council meeting, and then the week after that would be when council would vote on the ordinance.
So which does the committee want? Do you want to see it in July beforehand? We've got 2 members I know that will be out. Do we have any other?
I know we can get the PowerPoint in August. It might be a little. I haven't talked with them about if they can get it in July.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Let's shoot for July. August. Does anybody have any? Because I guess because we still have time to discuss it before the vote. So they've presented it to council, then they're presenting it to us. I guess I don't see a problem. Is it any? Okay. So then, you'll make that change to that.
Okay. So the change be PowerPoint from SNWA with conservation info in August, and include how Boulder City will comply and or how we want to further conservation efforts.
Okay, that's good. Okay, so anybody else have any other comments on item 3? Okay, so again, we'll just go with, so first off, we can either, I guess we'll just accept staff recommendation because the utility was made, but you'll still, I think if we just say accept staff recommendations should work related to changes as discussed in, I guess I'll just make the motion is that's it. So that, I guess what I'm saying is as long as you agree, Joe, is that accept staff's recommendations that was discussed today relating to item number 3. Gonna get a second on that?
Second that.
Any comments? Comments? Okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed, say nay. Ayes have it unanimously. Okay, so we go to number 4, and the same type thing as Joe pointed out, that say review of utility resources to match the resolution, and then it also gives us a broader aspect, so I appreciate that. I think everybody is the same type of thing as we had before, so everybody agree with that? Okay. So then we go to objectives. So staff update 5-year plan. Let's see, then it's talking about SCEs, present updated IRP, staff to present IRP to City Council. Need to discuss solar rooftop and solar power for the city. Need to review the utility infrastructure. I guess, do we want, so what we need one more bullet to allow for other resources, water and stuff like that, I guess. Does anybody have any suggestion as an additional objective?
I think the need to review utility infrastructure is broad enough that it might capture that.
And the other thing you got included in here is staff to review energy efficiency program. You put programs, and that includes water, electric, and whatever you got by adding the S on programs. On the program, I mean.
So on the same thing, then why don't we just say, need to review the utility infrastructures and resources? How's that? Then that pretty much is a catch-all, isn't it?
Get it. That would work.
Say that one more time, Larry.
Sorry. Need to so the very last bullet, need to review the utility infrastructure and resources.
Okay.
And so just the very last bullet, just add resources and resources to the last part.
And that'll pick everything up.
Right. Okay. So now you're going to present the draft IRP to the UAC in October. Is that what I'm understanding, Joe?
Yes.
So that would be changed then, just to say present draft IRP to UAC in October 2022, right?
Right.
Okay. Okay, so then you're going to present final, right? Do they vote on the draft or they vote on a final? Does the draft become final after they voted on it?
I believe so.
Okay, so it would be present draft of IRP with any UAC recommendations to city council. Do we want that, or just say present it to city council in December? What is it? Do we want UAC included in that, or just say present it to the city council?
Probably present to city council, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And just say, so present IRP to city council in December.
And then they'll approve it or not, I guess.
Okay. Okay, so why don't we just say updated, does it hurt to say updated IRP due in December 2022 to Western? To Western?
We could say 5-year, because there's an annual requirement, and then the 5-year, they've had some staffing shortages where they, they haven't asked for the annual, so we could say updated 5-year IRP due to Western December 2022.
Okay, that way just everybody knows it's to Western, because not everybody would understand that, I don't think.
I think to Western. To Western.
Yeah, to Western. Yeah. Okay. And so does anybody else have any more on the timelines? I think that covers us pretty well. Unless we want to state about possible voting, because we're either going to vote in October or November, depending on if we would want to bring any MIC. Most likely, we should be able, as long as we have action, we can either say with amendments we've suggested or come back in November. But or you just want to say present and or not vote or not?
I think.
Just present?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let me see. So I guess we're not, are we, so I think that's an old one on the updates, SNWA or SCE. So are you setting anything up for the presentation from them?
No. So, that is an old update. So we're gathering the data to compiling all the necessary information to include in the new IRP. So if that's something that's desired by the committee or the committee feels is necessary, we can facilitate that.
Well, so if you just want to say staff updating or developing draft, and that way when we look at it in July, then it's just there and that's what's happening.
Okay. Yeah. So the update will be staff updating IRP. And then what did you say about July? I'm sorry.
No, I'm just saying, in our July meeting, then we would just, you'd look at your update and say you'd look at the timeline and the update and really wouldn't have to say anything.
Okay, got it.
It just sort of flows. I think the update would be added. Now, okay, so, okay, let's finish this and then I'll just make the last comment. So is everybody comfortable with all the categories on item number 4?
The changes
Correct.
to the categories,
Yes.
yes.
Okay, does anybody could make a motion?
Again, I make a motion to accept staff's changes to the
So,
item 4 of the advisory committee goals.
Any second?
I'll second.
Any comments? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say nay. The ayes have it, unanimously passed. So what so I appreciate, again, we took a little longer, but I think on this one, but I think we got a lot covered. And
turn me off. Sorry. Wake up, everyone.
So Joe said in the past, I mean, as we started this, is that one of the big things I believed, so I'll just make sure if I state it correctly, Joe, is that in the, so it'd be the city memos, the city staff memos in the project, am I saying it right? The staff reports in the packet? So each agenda item then has a staff report, correct?
Right, so just kind of aligning with how council presents it, but just make it streamlined for the committee. Staff reports will have an aligned goal that you can kind of see presents to that to make sure we're meeting the goals. So we might be an item that's a little bit more specific but aligns to this broad goal, and that will be included in the staff report.
Okay. Now so I don't think I'm getting too far off topic because it still relates to the goals. So as the staff report, if there, some of the times you're presenting, for instance, like the IRP, you just give us the original IRP. Can you put it in the staff goal if you want us to do something specific before the meeting? It's that way we know that you want us to look at something before the meeting.
You're asking me to put it like in the
staff report.
Yeah. I
So
mean,
some of the staff reports, there's a little more information, and sometimes you're just saying it relates to the goal.
Right.
But that doesn't always say, well, you want us to look at anything specific.
Right,
So I'm
right.
just trying to figure out how we do that so we know that we're not missing something that you wanted us to look at.
No, I'll guide you in the staff report, tell you exactly, what I want you to do.
Okay.
So the couple items we talked about today, update and discussion. I mean, the red line was new, so that being, because it just got that information Monday. The rest of the stuff was just for us to get the ball rolling.
Okay. Yeah, so in the future, you'd probably have the red line, and then it would be, please discuss, look at the red line or something like that. It would be in the staff report just to hit us over the head and say, make sure you're looking at this.
Right. Yeah, no hitting over the head, no.
Okay, careful what I say.
No, you're good.
Okay, thanks. I think that covers the goal. The last thing, so my understanding is, though, you were sort of looking at how the Historic Preservation Committee used it to sort of said, this is how we're going forward in the year and what we would expect and what you're expecting from us also.
I think if the committee's good with this, we'll go ahead and keep this. It's a simple front and back page. I think it's we can move forward with it. So I'm not trying to reinvent the wheel. It was just
What I'm saying is just you're going to use this document to do the same thing that you were asking about that. So you would present this on a monthly basis just to say, this is how we're going forward.
Yes, I present this document on a monthly basis, right? If
Okay.
that's
And so we'd look at the timelines and any new updates. Okay. Okay. So I guess any other comments on the goals? So thank you everybody very much. I think that was very productive. I appreciate that. So we shall close down, make sure I got my agenda here. Close down item number 5 and go to item number 6. And 6 is discussion regarding potential agenda items for upcoming Utility Advisory Committee meetings. One thing I think, and I believe, because it's my understanding, we can discuss it, so this is where we'd start discussing July 6th and the August. We can start by looking at those, correct? Under this agenda item?
Yes, this is for future upcoming Utility Advisory Committee meetings. Correct.
So we're looking at agenda items, but also making sure we understand when the meeting is and timeframes and all that. So we have, Joe, you stated that we have the current date of July 6th, but it is at 1 o'clock and not at 3 o'clock is available.
Correct.
1 to 4. And we have August, what was the August date again?
The second Wednesday in August, which I believe is the 10th, available also at 1 p.m.
10 o'clock at 1 p.m.
Yeah. So it's the same, exact same availability as today.
Right.
July 6th and August 10th is what's available. Then when we get into September 7th, we can go back on to 3 p.m., go back on the regular schedule.
Okay, thank you. So now who is available on July 6th? Myself. Greg, are you available?
I am going to tentatively say yes, but I've got to check a very busy calendar.
Okay.
I am not available.
So, and
I'm not available.
so there's 3 of us right now. We didn't know. Did anybody hear from Lloyd Anderson? Okay, so if we were to meet on the 6th, you were looking at the vote.
Yeah, it's definitely one item to present for sure. That's going to be the red line on the SNWA recommendations for water conservation. Another potential item wanted to bring up is the possibility of a notification system like Everbridge. It's what Overton Power Electric uses as a power outage notification system that customers opt into. You get a text message, tells you what where the outage is, what it is. They reported about $600-800 a month, but that was another possible item I wanted to have it on this meeting. So I know it's a quick turnaround; it's in 2 weeks, but I didn't want to go beyond that.
Actually, it is 3 weeks. Just
3 weeks. Okay.
So it is one extra week, but still turn. I totally agree. But we would have to check with Eileen and Lloyd to find, or Andy to find out if we need at least one more person to be available to have that meeting. So right now we don't know. So is there? I guess the best thing to do is put an email out and ask.
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're not sure, I could put the email out today, and if we don't hear back, just kind of plan on the August meeting is a for certain, right? At a minimum.
Right. So who is? So I'll just start. Greg, are you available on August 10th?
Yeah.
Marty.
Yes.
Okay, I am.
I think so, yeah.
No.
Okay, but we have at least 4, so we have a quorum. Okay. So yeah, let's go with the August. Huh?
I was planning on the 3rd.
Yeah. Well, what's happened is this is being redone, or the final revisions. So, and that's why I told Joe. I said the next 2, since we hadn't talked about the 6th enough, I knew that vacations around 4th of July was iffy, and August not being a regular schedule. So, hopefully we're not holding it against anybody, but we'll just see what happens.
So we're going to try to have a meeting on the 6th of July?
Well, he's gonna
We're going to
check.
So I'll send out an email to Andy and Eileen, check and see if their availability on that date. If I don't hear back from them, we'll let that go, and we'll plan on the next meeting being August 10th,
So
1
we
p.m.
might have a skipped month there.
Right.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah, because what the issue is, Howard, is there's construction going on here, so all July is vacated. Starting the second week of July, we're out till that first council meeting in August.
So, then I guess it wouldn't hurt to sort of look at the next, so if we did do July, that one was going to be pretty simple. I think everybody would agree that we would look at the conservation plan and then the system update. I guess that would probably be all that we'd really want to do in July, if we did a July meeting. But if we don't do a July, then I guess we would shift the two items to August, and then we would, what was your thought, Joe, on additional items?
I have one item I'd like to add. I'm getting a lot of complaints from the operator of the Boulder City landfill and the contractor that is putting the fence up between the landfill cell expansion and I-11. They're leaving large gaps of the fence open. So I'd like to get a report on what the status is of that contractor and whether or not we're going to get fined for having stuff blow across I-11 and also into the Boulder City Rifle and Pistol Club, which has asked for a lot of volunteers to clean up trash from the landfill because the fence is down.
So just so I understand the issue is that fence there, so you want an agenda item for staff update on some kind of report on the landfill?
Well, I've been absent for the last couple of meetings because of other things, but I did not have any knowledge that the landfill was going through a cell expansion and a contract had been let to a contractor within town who's tending to ignore the needs of the, I'll say, operator of the landfill. And they're having a heck of a time containing the trash.
Yeah, so there's an issue with the temporary fence, right? So they're not. We got permitted for the phase that we're in, right? We're not building a new road and all that now. So it's just that fence is a temporary fence.
But they forgot to put it up over a 3-day weekend, and the winds came up.
Right.
So my problem is it's for future discussion on another meeting, but
Yeah.
I got reports from the landfill operator, the people that work there, that they cannot contain the debris blowing across I-11 during the winds,
We're aware of that.
and that the temporary fence was not installed on one 3-day weekend because they ran out of time, and so they just left it open.
Okay. Yeah, just however we want to have that memorialized in the meeting, if you just do me a favor and send me an email how we want that agenda item to be put in, and it gives staff enough time to prepare a report if that's what the committee wants.
Yeah, I'll give you the dates and the time that I was talking to the people at the landfill.
So I would say, that be August? Probably it'd be nice to do it sooner than later. Is August, would that be okay to do by August 10th?
Yeah, that's fine. August
Okay.
have
So
a landfill.
look at that. Now, the city manager had stated that he would be willing to do updates on some of the items. Is that something we want to do in August or September? So I guess it depends on how much if we don't have a meeting in July and have to move things in August, well, August will be another one we only have 3 hours. So do we want to confirm with him that he's okay with that, or do we want to we'll confirm, of course, either way, but that, and then do that in August or September?
Yeah, I definitely want to double check with the city manager, but I definitely goal is to be within 3 hours. I think is 2.5 sweet spot. I don't want us to take on more than we can handle in one particular meeting. So if that's something that the committee wants to have on, we can certainly talk to him about that.
Well, the one thing, so again, we got to be careful, because the one thing we didn't go over in the goal was the deliverables. And I think the one thing is to get some of the deliverables, that was it, I thought, was having this update would help us understand some of the things that's ongoing.
Yeah, I'm hoping the update's enough. Any specific information that the committee needs at any time, I'm willing to provide that. So if we need to get to deliverable tracker or things that, we're not providing information, then we can explore that. But I'm hoping that we're at a place now that you guys are getting the information that you need, and that, we're not having to rehash, deliverables.
Okay, so why don't we just put in that, depending on the agenda, with an update by the city manager in August or September, if that's, just so we look at some ideas.
I'll look at that.
And then see, so it might be better in September. And then, was there anything else we just had in the goals that we were, September was gonna start September was gonna start off the SIP, 5-year SIP plan.
Yeah.
Okay. And then October was going to be, we were going to try to at least buy the rate. So October would be the rate and possibly October is where you've got the IRP coming back.
Right.
And I'm not sure if we want to have a separate meeting. Do we want to consider having a separate rate workshop in the fall? Would people be available for 2 meetings in a month? We wouldn't ask for the city. We'd just do rates. And then we would have a regular meeting available. I don't know. And we could talk about that more in August or September. But I just want to get that rate done sooner than later. And let's see, October is definitely the IRP. November might be too bad, but then we're in the first week, so it shouldn't be a Thanksgiving issue. I'm just trying to figure out where to make sure we can fit that rate meeting.
November might be a good time to vacate a meeting and do a workshop, but you got if you wanted to double up, so you say you don't want staff to be there?
No, I'm saying you don't need, I'm just saying if we did 2 meetings, we wouldn't be asking you to prepare for something.
Oh, okay.
So if we did things, 1 meeting, a regular meeting, and then 2 weeks later we did a workshop, we wouldn't be asking staff we'd be doing something that wouldn't take as much time for the staff.
Got it, okay.
So we're trying to keep your time in consideration. So, okay, well, if we meet in July, we can talk a little bit. We'd like to have, but maybe we'll have to talk a little bit more in August, just to make sure for future agenda items. Has anybody else got anything that they definitely, besides what's going on with the goals? Okay, like I said, my biggest thing is just to try to get the rates in sooner than later.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll make a motion. Well, first, no, we got the public comment period, and this is relating to any item then. So if you can put up so close out item number 6 and go to the comment period. So again, the number is 702-589-9629. And so there was nothing for the general comment either. Okay, phone call or email. We'll give them just a few minutes. Okay, thank you everyone. Appreciate everybody's time, and I thought we had a good meeting here, and I will make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second?
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
So we are adjourning at 3:29. Thank you very much.
Good.